his hands on that ever, even though we did see her fall completely through a couple of drafts yesterday.
But not against Ian, right? Ian,
No,
of course, has been
not.
a noted Syndra player, and you look at the must bans, and that's what I always do in my research, of course, with only 2 game wins, not too many on the side of MVP, but Sejuani and Karma were actually in both of their victories, so grabbing a hold of one of those would be pretty happy times for MVP. The Karma flex pick on red side could be useful. Banning away Talia from Tempt is one of those core bans as well, and interesting stat I have for you here, Atlas, is that these 2 teams between them are 0-7 on Caitlyn. So while we see
I was actually going to mention
a red side Caitlyn ban, it is not as high priority, you would say, in this particular series.
Yep, might have even been MVP not wanting Maha to have any opportunity to play that, which does leave Elise open and gives Bless the opportunity to lock that one in straight away. They waste absolutely no time with that.
I want to call you on being facetious about that, but you're never really sure in series like this, unfortunately. But Elise as a first pick is still big. Bless, when he was looking a lot better a year ago, was a good Elise player. Beyond has been playing the Rek'Sai, and Rek'Sai this week is finally, with the 7-12 buffs, picked up a little bit. Before we were like, don't get the Rek'Sai, very easy to step out of the ultimate. Now you have to flash. Now the reliability of the ultimate is there, and more power is being loaded onto a kit. In an early game focused team, Rek'Sai can play a good part.
Yeah, not to mention the fact that, you know, AD and Armor scale a little bit better as well, so Rek'Sai is feeling a little bit better as the game goes on at the same time, but that is going to be a big crocodile locked in for BBQ, and Crazy, he was actually a shining light. I mean, they haven't been winning very much recently, but they had tough opposition in Samsung followed by KT, but Crazy was holding his own towards the top side of the map some of the time.
And that's the thing, is in the bottom 4 teams, because you have to kind of group Rocks Tigers in there, even if they're starting to separate them. Of the top laners, Crazy is probably one of the better ones. Feels like Crazy would be either first or second in that list, depending on how Linderong is going. He's a bit more streaky than Crazy, who's pretty consistent, even if not necessarily a world beater. We're going to see a Rumble locked in, and Rumble has been pretty highly deprioritized this week with the suite of Nurse. Some people call them tweaks, I call them Nurse for competitive play. But ADD, who's one of the better recent converts to Rumble, will be trying to give him a go in this particular series.
Yeah, so more damage, less wave clear. Is that the gist of it, Pop Smithy?
Pretty much, you know, pushing power is gone. Much weaker at level 1, especially because you can't manage your heat and actually have the ability to both push and all in. So in a lot of ways has lost out, even if the stacking slow was nice in the late game. You get a bit more shielding at level 1. If anything, he's better at being pushed in, because he can, with the extra damage on Harpoon, last hit under turret better. But of course, previously he was overextended and pushing. And given that pushing is so strong in the stand lane meta, while he does some things better, I think overall as an identity, it's a nerf.
Yeah, sort of one of those champions that was part of the 3 winning lane strategy. Now not necessarily that winning lane towards the top side, and definitely not this game against a Renekton, whose ability to push has not been blemished whatsoever.
Yeah, I feel like Renekton almost fills the spot that Rumble kind of lost on the ban lists.
Yeah.
Has been making it through increasingly, but a couple of bans in the last couple of days. But let's focus on what's happening in the second round.
Yeah, Varus is actually going to be banned away following the Thresh. Orianna against Ian makes sense. Control Mage is certainly his bag, but a bit of a bouquet of bans from MVP.
Ian also has to deal with Orianna gone. No wins on Orianna, but it's been his blind pick pretty frequently on the red side. It's probably going to be mid lane Karma, so while there is a little bit of ambiguity there, that is definitely the possibility from the side of BBQ. So MVP looking for support and also a mid laner. So just grab Braum at this particular point and probably be pretty happy, but they're looking like they might want to actually counter-pick support, showing a lot of respect to Ghost, who has been one of the carries for BBQ in their couple of wins.
Hovering the Ezreal at the moment. What I would love to see here, Papa Smithy, and correct me if I'm wrong, which I probably am, would be something like a... I just want Jhin Lucian locked in. I want Tempt to throw away the Karma to Totoro on the bottom side of the map and pick up the Jhin Lucian.
I mean, maybe we're going to get frisky with some of our drafts here. First Tristana of the season in Korea. A couple of other regions have been playing this. Reckless has been playing it.
Oh, please God, now pick Blitzcrank Totoro. Do it. Do it. The Trist Blitz level 3 all-in Papa Smithy of old.
Trist Braum also does have...
still pretty good for the all-in opportunities.
Bit of a denial away on the Braum from MVP, and the Braum, one of the good answers to the Ash Arrow as well. So didn't want to go Tom Kent, want to have the potential for a strong level 1, and Braum and Elise get going. They can get their roaming shoes on. Very strong duo as well as, okay, Max takes no quarter. We'll just lock in Rakan for the engage on the side of MVP, and suddenly got plenty of engage, Atlas.
Yeah, and look, this is actually really interesting because this is Max's first Rakan game. The man that basically has every single champion in his champion pool. Rakan's certainly one of those playmakers that fits into Max's wheelhouse, and this is the first time we are going to see him on it against this unorthodox bottom lane that BBQ have put together.
And it does seem like with their losing streak, he's lost his penchant for the unorthodox. He was in that winning streak, very happy to throw these one-offs. You know, sometimes he would return, but largely it was lots of unique picks, a bit reminiscent of Sarsen many years ago with all his mid lane picks, and he's kind of consolidated his champion pool, but not been able to pull any victories. So we've got very much a bottom of the table clash. Interesting picks on both sides, and our first Tristana of the game. I'm just looking to see if either of these teams can put some good macro in, can play an ordered game, and give us hope for their future games, because this is one of the few times on the calendar they could have circled it and said, okay, this is the one time where we feel like we can win.
Yeah, well, I just feel really good about BBQ's draft. I feel like if BBQ... I just don't think that they had very many better options. We were talking about winning lanes and their importance at the moment. We'll see whether BBQ are going to be able to find it up against MVP and whether the losing streak will continue. Let's do it.
Halted.
BBQ, pause.
I've heard that sound before.
What sound was that?
I get a really bad batch of chicken.
Oh no. Oh, no. I thought it was like when I sat down before, because my back's real sore today, Pop Smithy.
Have you been going hard at the gym?
Oh, yeah.
We're getting information here that
Yeah,
BBQ is having a couple of sound issues, so hopefully that can be fixed really early. Seems like Bless is the one who's struggling the most. So.
Ironically named Bless for that particular issue.
I mean, BBQ Bless and BBQ Tempt, obviously named before they had a chicken sponsor, are both pretty fantastic names.
Absolutely fantastic.
So there you have it. On our screens, the audio issue, and I was taking a step back thinking about what you were saying, and when it comes to the pushing lanes, Atlas, you have the Renekton and also the Karma, so
and
theoretically...
the
Tristana, we'll see how that goes. It is still melee supports on both sides. Tristana has more pushing options than Ashe very early in the lane, so I can agree with that. I'm still evaluating Tristana, given that we get to see so little of it in Korea. Might actually be our first. It probably isn't our first of the year, but it would be maybe our second of the year. So it's first or second Tristana we've had in 2017.
It's a hard stat to really think about off the top of your head, because it hasn't been one that we've had to for a very long time, Pop Smithy.
And Tristana famously kind of did the one thing, right? She pushed. I mean, her kit was set up, or she doesn't have the same freezing options that other AD carries have, but we don't freeze anymore in the standard lane meta. So with those pushing lanes, having Elise, the premier jungler as a first pick, the Karma value coming up. We mentioned potentially MVP taking over the Karma.
Absolutely adorable skin choices here as well on the bottom side of the map.
A male core cheerleader and very loud cheer as well. Very nice.
Very enthusiastic.
That's what we're looking for when you're leading cheers.
Yeah, I'm sorry for talking over it. It was just all a little bit happening all of a sudden, and then there was a cute little witch on the bottom side of the map. So,
and that might actually, and it feels like this game might mirror that, Atlas, because we've seen MVP very much mismanage early game advantages, not really know what to do in the mid game. We've seen BBQ kind of have similar problems. So in games like this, it might just be everyone farms up, a team fight happens, there's 50-second death timers, and the game is over. That can happen here. Yeah. I'm hoping for more. I hope we can have high expectations for these teams, but you kind of have to look at the records and give it pause before hoping for too much.
MVP fans in the audience desperate for their team to pick up a win. I'm always very impressed by MVP fans. Each week, the losing streak was getting worse and worse, but they were still coming, still getting behind their teams, hoping desperately for another victory.
About double the MVP fans in the crowd than there is BBQ fans, and that's with, as you say, not even single game wins to get excited about. It's not even honorable loss. It's been a lot of one-sided matches here for the side of MVP. BBQ, I think, in general, have been pretty ordered. Like, they have different problems to MVP. BBQ fall behind and don't really know how to go from there, and Bless has had some identity problems from the jungle, but I wouldn't necessarily say their macro is poor or things like that. It's more just being outclassed in games.
Yeah.
Even when Tempt has, from time to time, gotten ahead in the mid lane, and the rest of the map around him, if Ghost and Tempt aren't fed, really feels like BBQ aren't going to be winning a match.
There are some good points for this season, especially when you mention Ghost. Ghost has been a shining light here for BBQ. Deserved MVPs that he's managed to pick up in the slim amount of victories they've managed to find. So now on this unique pick of the Tristana, especially for summer. And the skin is just adorable. I didn't know that the explosions were that cute. Oh, amazing.
Haven't been playing Tristana in your spare time, I see.
Yeah, not so much. Haven't been brushing up on my Tristana.
Add it to the list.
Yeah, got to. Certainly have to.
Some people have YouTube playlists. A lot of people, casters especially, we definitely sit back and see the awesome super players. We're like, oh, I could play that. And the answer is often that you can't.
Yeah, exactly.
But you can
fail.
lock it in, Atlas.
Yeah.
So we can attempt to play it.
One of my favorite times in solo queue, well, it was actually a duo queue, was when our mutual friend Pastry Time managed to feed me a pentakill on Tristana. That was a good day, actually. We got double pentas that day. Good times. Anyway, that's enough story time from Atlas about his terrible experiences.
We could
in
have
solo queue.
plenty of story time today, depending on how this series goes. We could also maybe hear your version of the nature documentary voice in our second series, if KT can actually look strong. Well, Beyond finds Bless.
Yeah,
Was level 4 to start.
Tempt is going to make it here first, theoretically, but oh, good tunnel gets him out of the way of the Mantra Cube. But Tempt, he wants the kill, and it's going to be BBQ to get first blood. Immediately answered there by Ian, but he's going to be able to flash himself away. Keeps himself alive. Jungle is traded, but first blood going over to BBQ.
And it was a cleanse flash from Ian, but he went in for the double buffs, rotated second because he wasn't in position to. Make sense, given that BBQ were on their side of the jungle. But he cleanse flashes out with double buffs, so that's actually pretty big advantage here for Ian. He will have no summoners. A repeat gank from Bless might take him down, but double buffs on a mid lane is not something you see too often in the LCK, so we'll see if that can get him over the struggles of early laning phase and get him closer to the first Hex Core upgrade and relative safety in the lane against Karma.
Well, relative safety is going to be a difficult term to understand, really, as Bless has turned back up. He's going to clear out this vision, but you can see Ian has to play so carefully now without both of his summoners. It's odd that now that he has the double buffs, he actually needs to be more careful because there's even more of a target on his back than just the missing sums.
And when the control ward came down and was taken out, he would have noticed the boots of mobility on Elise and maybe even has to inch even that further back, Atlas. So
yeah.
It's going to be, as you say, a bit of a struggle. Beyond's here. Will at least help deal with the vision war as Bless is really fast.
And yesterday, Pop Smithy, we were still seeing quite a few of those Doran shields. Now, of course, not being able to afford the extra potion means that people's choices have been changing, and most certainly is the case this game, as Maha and Ghost both going for that Doran's Blade once again.
I mean, the evolution was, when we started, it felt like, okay, Caitlyn will get Doran's Shield, get Doran's Blade, and everyone else get Doran's Shield when the power was highest. And it just felt like even Caitlyn's were getting Doran's Shield because of the access to the second potion. Now it's more respective of the laning matchup you're in. If the Zyras and the Lulus come back, maybe you will consider Doran's Shield just for consistent regen.
Yeah.
The ability to shrug off Poker's bot lane.
Oh, there's the rocket jump. He's going to get Ghost in amongst it.
Very nice.
Yeah, grand entrance flash from Max. Sorry, not even using the flash, just battle dances his way to Maha. It is still the Ashes flash used, so good gank from Bless, but no joy to be had in the kill department.
Yeah, double summoners, but Max did disengage about as well as can expected when it was respecting something like Braum and also Bless being in the area. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping that Doran's Shield against poke supports will still be a thing, but when it's Braum and Rakan, both of them all in and largely melee supports or short-range supports, much more about engage, you will actually have time to just last hit back or auto-attack back your life, and you don't need health regen as heavily when the harass is much lower in these lanes.
Lady D changing up the build path here just a little bit with first item Sorcerer's Shoes.
That's risky.
It is very odd considering the power of Ninja Tabi at the moment, especially into Crazy.
Also,
who has an ability to make him double auto attack.
And if you think about it, Sorcerer's Shoes probably be third because Merc Treads against Braum, Renekton, Elise is pretty cool too. So
Yeah.
he's taking some liberties with the build. Could just mean that Rek'Sai is going to pull up a tent in the top lane and then try and get some snowball kills on the Renekton, but Especially with the longer cooldown on Q, it's an optimistic choice from ADD.
Yeah, I like it. But it's always good to, mix things up. I like the change, even if the logic isn't necessarily there to back him up.
And logic perhaps need not apply to both these teams at times this season, so...
That's a very good point. We look down the list, though. Things are looking relatively standard. Tempt wanting to pick up that Athene's Unholy Grail, which is why Karma was in fact nerfed. Still remains massively high priority. Scaling on mana regen is an interesting thing to add to the game, PubSmithy, but I like it. I've liked a lot of things so far in this early game.
Very likable today.
It's just a likable series.
And the nerf to the AoE shield's pretty significant, given that you could build pretty squishy with a Karma, and then if you saw a Death Cap thrown in there, then everyone was able to fight through with quite large shielding. Now it's down to 30% of the large shield, or the single target shield, from 50%, and also 20 base shielding taken off the regular shield. So in general, less shields abound. But like you say, itemization's only stronger. Athene's, Ardent Sensor, all these items are very strong on Karma. So felt like if you buffed those items and left Karma in the same spot, she'd be even more ever-present in the mid lane. And Korea definitely needs no invitation to play a lot of Karma.
Nope.
Turns out if a champion can push the lane reliably, very hard to gank due to shielding and movement speed, and you can take teleport in the mid lane, pretty big pick in Korea.
Yeah, and if it has a shield as well, PubSmithy, shielding champion's pretty popular here as well.
I mean, if you can push a lane, you're popular here. We even have a damn Mordekaiser locked in to try to outpush.
So sad I wasn't on the desk for that one, PubSmithy.
You and I both, Atlas. But again, pushing lanes, and the thing about Karma is you lock her in first pick, you're probably pushing lane. You're probably not going to die in lane because you're so damn safe as a Karma, and if things go super bad, you put her in support and you feel pretty good about that as well. So on command, pushing safe lane is about the wet dream of a Korean drafting coach.
Yep. Glad you mentioned the draft. Draft flexibility, of course, so important. There's
Going
another
all in
rocket
again.
jump. Yeah, they're looking for the ultimate. Ghost does have it, but Max is going to be able to dance around with the quickness. Doesn't stop Maha from falling down. Max is going to flash himself to relative safety. Knock up from beyond to disengage, but the damage has been done. Ghost grabs the assist, but that's 2 kills now for Bless.
And with Ghost willing to be so aggressive, it feels like even lane ganks for Tristana work, because Tristana Braum, you were kind of speculating about which support to take. Tristana Braum can just go all in, down the lane, jump in, couple of stacks of the concussive blow, you just hit the Q, and from there everything is good. So they do pick up the kills in the bot lane, getting Ghost ahead, and has the BS sword, will no doubt go Static Shiv, Infinity Edge, pretty standard build, play the Ruin King on a much lower ebb, and you're against no real tanks on the side of MVP, so no real impetus to pick up that early lifesteal from the Bilgewater Cutlass.
Yeah. And, look, I feel like what Tristana fits into now is largely that sort of poor man's Caitlyn choice. Because what you want to do is you want to be rotating her around the map, utilize her incredible turret damage to siege down these turrets. And I love how BBQ's doing it as well. They throw Bless into the bottom lane, they try and go for these all-in plays, and then give the Tristana time with the turret. It's not just about having ridiculous range incredibly early to sit there and shoot it no matter who's there, but, kill someone, then take the turret.
You say poor man's Caitlyn, I say bad man's Caitlyn, because you don't get to play Caitlyn anymore.
That's what I mean.
I know. I'm just having fun. But I see what you're saying, and it has very much been a turret-focused meta. Especially last week when no one was interested in any Infinity Edges. They were building Static Shiv and Rapid Fire Cannon before finishing the BF Sword. It was very much a premium of pushing, also a lot of lane swapping, but the lane swaps have been a bit more quiet this week, Atlas.
Yeah.
We're moving away from the 8 to 13-minute lane swaps. Rift Herald has been deprioritized a little bit, which really does strike me as a kind of a scrim results-based phenomena, given that everyone was falling over for the objective, and now they're like, maybe if we can get it safe.
Well, we haven't necessarily seen the best usage of it for anyone, to be honest, as Ian is in so much trouble. He's going to slice and dice his way over his crazy. Ian, the explosive shot should be able to do it here from Ghost. Doesn't have the shield. They're going to transition this straight in to a mid lane outer turret. Beyond's getting dived on. The ultimate not quite quick enough as Bless jumps down on top of the Rek'Sai, but this should be able to lock in the turret. No, it won't, as Max is actually going to be able to get the grand entrance. Equalizer, ADD forcing everyone to walk over the top. And Tempt is going to be traded, so it's a 1-for-1. And BBQ going a little bit overexcited without a minion wave could have been a problem.
And they don't have any resources used. They only used one flash onto Crazy. MVP had to use more to make things happen. But I like what BBQ are doing. You notice on the red side jungle, control ward down, multiple wards down. They have good vision to make these aggressive plays. And although this time it doesn't pay off with the mid lane turret, it still feels like they're playing with information better. Look how much control they have of the enemy side when they make this play. They have very good idea of where people are on the map. And Beyond comes in, he gets pincered, as you say. Ian doesn't have the Q. The shield might have saved him, was only 2 shots on the bomb, but regardless, couldn't get there. They rotate first. Good moves from BBQ, but the Ash arrow onto Tempt did mean that it was a trade of kills in the air.
Yep, no way for Tempt to get out. Good grand entrance there from Max as well, just to make sure that they lock in that kill. Max has actually been relatively impressive on the Rakan. We know that he is a man that is pretty good at picking up a champion and just looking like he's been playing it forever, even if it might be his first time to play the champion competitively.
That's what we said. Of the 2017 converts to Rumble, ADD looks pretty good on it. In spring, you have Beyond, who debuted the Tiamat Rush Rek'Sai build on the international stage.
Hey, yeah, true.
Obviously, a lot of teams crypt for him and now has the Rek'Sai available as another option. So there is some comfort here for MVP, but right now, lacking imagination. Tempt is always roaming first, and that's going to be first brick.
Yep, the Inspire helping him move much quicker as well, as Ghost is going to utilize his incredible sieging potential and also his wave clear, as we saw right there. So the Tristana working out very, very well, means 1,000 gold lead here for BBQ.
Happy Drake spawn either as well. The Mountain would be even greater for BBQ, but right now want to start working towards that static shift first. Totoro is caught.
Yep, that is going to be an arrow whizzing by uneffectually.
Uneffectually?
Yeah, I'm going to go with new words.
Oh yeah, innovation.
Trying things out. Multiple stuns are overlapped. That's going to be a Glacial Fissure. Beyond, looking to try and get out. But that repel from Bless should be able to do it. Winter's Bite's there. Finally, they're able to pick up that kill as Bless is in trouble. The last tick of that, well, it wasn't the last one, but about the third tick of the Chaos Storm is going to be able to take down the Itsy Bitsy Spider. And they're trading 1-for-1 all the time. Here are these two teams. And Beyond seems to be the same roles.
Bless awkwardly transitioned to human form as he needed to get out and didn't have the extra movement speed of the spider, couldn't turn back into it because he had just turned to human form. So took the extra tick and died, would have been able to have the movement speed to get away. Awkward times for Bless.
However, still successfully able to take down Beyond. We'll see who's going to be able to actually get the control here. 4CS in the lead is Ian as these minion waves reset. Tempt without his flash, and Ian will have his back relatively soon. Perfect tech score is the option here for Ian as first item.
Very standard as a first item. Looks like Banshee Veil will be coming up soon as well. And Ghost, as you can see, doesn't have a CS advantage over Maha of any real significance, despite the fact that he's been able to get kills, and that's because he's just pushing. Yep. Atlas is happy to push and take turrets, so hasn't been looking to deny CS away from Maha.
Well, the lane swap that you were talking about receding a little bit has most certainly been reattained, but that's making sure that the bottom tower does fall down. Understandable in a Tristana composition to try and go for this, which is why we see him building flat damage plus attack speed. They're not going to be rushing anything like the Blade of the Ruin King, which is much better at killing champions. He wants to kill structures. He barely cares that there are other champions on this map right now, does Ghost?
And I mentioned it earlier, not too many true tanks on the side of MVP, so no big need for the Blade of the Ruin King this time. As you say, a turret-focused build. As MVP have actually gotten control over an area, and that is over the Rift Herald. So they're going to most likely be able to pick this one up. No one from BBQ can poke their head out. The move from MVP.
Yeah, just not even bothering to look for it at BBQ, so should be able to net them at least a turret. This mid lane, an option. It doesn't have a whole lot of health, just one headbutt from Harold should be able to take that one down.
You do see where it does feel a bit like two teams with one match win, where if you consider what BBQ were doing at the time, even though they have the advantage, even though they've been winning skirmishes, at the time they were securing blue buff and playing around Gromp on the top side of the map, not trying to take Mountain Drake as a trade of objectives. So they basically got nothing for MVP investing their time around Rift Herald for as long as they did, and that's because they had no control on the top side and no one was playing bot side. So usually, you know, we do see those trade of objectives, but this time, just a freebie for him.
Yeah, this Mountain Drake now going to get pinged out. As Rift Scuttler was taken by BBQ, thankfully, when Bless was over stealing the blue buff away. So no blue buff joy for Ian. Mountain Drake not going to necessarily be an option that MVP can take without BBQ's knowledge. Dion moves himself over.
Yeah, spotted out in the ward, but duo lane's top side. Rakan and Ashe had kind of predicted there'd be a rotation, but none to be, so they're going to get some top lane turret damage at minimum. Not going to kill it, though.
Yeah, but the bottom lane is able to stay here because they don't need to invest too much. Bless is going to make his way over, but Gravity Field zones him away. And Dominus already popped here. The equalizer goes down, but ADD not able to stave off the Crocodile. Arrow soars past and makes sure that the Crocodile stop for a little while, but otherwise not too many kills going to be gained. That stun would have lasted a long time. That's about as maximum range as he can get with an Ashe Arrow. Nicely aimed by Maha.
And Gravity Field was perfect too. You know, 600 HP on the Drake. They put down the Gravity Field, zone away Bless from coming for a contest and would just have died if he had pursued any harder. So good stuff from MVP. Really kind of under the nose of a strong BBQ start, taking away both the Rift Herald and a Drake now.
BBQ just don't look like they care too much about these early objectives going down, though. Seems like they're happy to try and scale this one up as quickly as possible. Eggs in the Ghost basket. Does have a lot of support from Tempt, who will be able to build that Ardent Sensor for him.
If you think about it, Crazy was the one that got them the vision around the red side. They profited off when they made the rotation mid lane earlier. And now with the duo lane top, surprisingly Totoro, with all the pushing from Ghost, hasn't been able to leave lane and get that same sort of vision around the red side jungle of MVP. They haven't been able to have vision around Rift Herald, that's why it was a freebie. They haven't been able to push vision to make aggressive rotations. So for now, the vision is kind of letting down BBQ, and as a result, they're just choosing to play safe because they don't have vision, but the bigger issue is no one is actually stepping forward to put them vision to play around, and thus the game kind of stagnates, and MVP gets more gold and objectives than they really should given the relative power of the two teams.
Yeah, and able to get themselves some more items as well as the Andrew's Torment done by ADD, building towards his Sonya's Hourglass next. I thought the Sorcerer's Shoes Rush might mean a change in items, but no, certainly not. Just needs to get extra magic penetration. The Burning Face is not enough, Bob Smithy. You need all of the options. He's still behind Crazy, but Crazy's had a little bit more time to himself.
Ian feels free enough to pivot away from something like the Banshee for now and just move towards a matching Ludens. Like both mid laners will be going for a bit of a mid-game item spike.
Yeah, both of the AD carries going for the same items here as well, as Beyond doesn't find anyone underground there, but he's going to throw this Rift Herald through, and MVP have everyone in the mid lane to try and back this one up.
It's just a trade of turrets, so while you'd prefer a mid lane turret, worth knowing that Ghost is getting something. Do they really need this many people mid lane is the question, but if they can get a lot of damage on the second turret, that'd be big for MVP.
Yeah, half health now on that one, so nicely done. It's one of the better Rift Heralds that we've seen thus far as Tempt misses a Q. Important because it does a lot of damage here at this stage, and they're going to get two turrets. Massive engage, good equalizer there as well, as they are able to lock that one down, and we're going to get a third charge by this Rift Herald. Two turrets are traded for two as Ghost is up towards the top side, and the bottom lane is pushing in for BBQ, so no third turret, but still Rift Herald working out for MVP.
All in all, MVP trade in turrets, which isn't ideal given that Ghost was getting solo gold in the top side. But the bigger question will be, mid lane turret, the reason why it has that high premium is that so much is run through mid lane is that you push minions up and you get a lot of information about where the enemy is and their setups that you only get one side of information by taking top lane turrets. So it feels like the reliable information will be there for MVP, but BBQ can also play around the Baron, push up vision, and get significant advantages around Baron, but that's harder to do than what MVP gets from getting the mid lane turrets. So on balance, better for MVP, but if BBQ can put down that vision, maybe they can still get an advantage out of what was overall the 2-for-2 turret trade.
The difficult thing there, Papa Smithy, is that some of the positives that we've been saying about BBQ have not been vision control. They gave away two of the early objectives by not having that vision available. And yes, Ghost now has the optimal two-item spike here for the Tristana. He's going to be moving towards his next attack speed item, most likely, after this Infinity Edge. See whether he goes to the Rapid Fire Cannon as well. Draw a bead, giving him all of that range, and then being able to add a rapid fire cannon on it. He might be a screen away and you get shot by him. That wouldn't be great.
And almost certainly going to be the build because rapid fire cannon scales on that draw bead. So
yeah, true.
The larger your attack range, the more bonus you get from the rapid fire cannon because it's percentage. So almost certainly will be the build. Double Zeal item into Infinity Edge is the zero-sum big attack damage item build for AD carries. But draw your attention also to Crazy's build as he's going a bit more conservative on the damage front. More about teamfight Renekton than about split pushing Renekton, as he's built no Tiamat in this game.
Yeah, seen a little bit more of that. I think Marin, one of our biggest fans of just going for Black Cleaver into full tank.
Adaptive Helm is actually going to be the build, which against Rumble makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, but not something that you often see on the Crocodile.
Well, it doesn't kill Rumble faster, so
no.
Most of our Renektons, Smeb especially, much more bloodthirsty with their itemization early.
He's doing that trade-off where it's like, I die slower. Don't kill him faster, but I die slower. Goes for that trade instead.
MVP have a control ward on Baron, and Maha's not moving. They're just going to turn onto it, and BBQ, we talked about those laps in vision. How long can they actually wait? Because there's a Mountain Drake on MVP.
Yeah, and it's getting taken down so incredibly quickly. It looks like no one's going to be able to make it here. And BBQ, there are awards available in this game. Use them. Just no vision being invested into it all by BBQ, and MVP has been able to take anything that's not in a lane. It seems BBQ doesn't even want at all.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like the Vision Chicken game is being played, and it's being won by MVP, which is certainly a pretty unique thing given their struggles around Baron earlier. So if that's something they've learned in the interim to be able to be more decisive around Baron, already MVP, a level up in that scenario. If it's a repeatable thing, it'll be good to track, but MVP get a big advantage, and now the gold lead, which was pretty pronounced for BBQ with their pushing lanes early, it's gone.
Yep, completely gone. We do need to caveat this by saying that MVP were able to pick up 3 Barons in one game and still managed to lose. So it, by all means, doesn't mean that BBQ are out of it, but if MVP can, against their general flow of play, make use of this Baron buff and push this one forward, maybe even break the base potentially if they can get up the mid lane, then something could happen.
I mean, Atlas, you of course know the famous Korean esports adage of no one beats MVP 15 times in a row.
To be perfectly honest, Papa Smithy, I was sort of expecting that would be BBQ. I didn't even know nobody was in this tournament, but if they were playing, I could imagine it seems like MVP would let them win as well.
Well, credit to MVP. They've gotten a lot of objectives this game. They're pushing up. They're making ordered plays. I wondered, okay, will they make things work with the group? And guess what? They went for the turret dive in mid lane, got that second turret, didn't trade down. Another turret goes their way. And MVP grouping to win. They've got a good 5v5 teamfight comp. Maybe it's time to group and win.
Well, BBQ are going to do exactly the same thing. Everyone synchronizing their backs apart from Tempt as BBQ move towards this bottom side. No Rift Herald to deal with here as far as that push-in is concerned, and Crazy's going to be able to clean this one up on his own. But thankfully for MVP, they were able to stop that push that BBQ were throwing forward on the top side. And look at this top side vision. BBQ are like, yeah, now we've got Baron control. But unfortunately, he's already dead.
And those wards do nothing because no one's going to play around there. They're just going to go run straight down the lane and take top tower.
Yeah. Probably would have gone for vision
elsewhere.
Yeah.
Anywhere else.
Anywhere
actually.
else, exactly, yeah.
Even the enemy blue buff would be pretty cool.
Yeah, maybe just like in your own base somewhere. Like, I don't know.
Well, BBQ are taking the, well, we have vision where we walk strategy.
Well, Max is going to be able to grand entrance his way away. Running extraordinarily fast with the quickness there as well used defensively as... Yeah, Crazy's going to get slowed down by the volley.
Equalizer territory.
They're doing the best they can beyond going for an engage. Equalizer is pretty good to start things off, but they can't kill Ghost just yet. Turret is going to fall somewhere, yeah, up towards the top side as the minions were what dealt with that. But no one on BBQ has fallen. MVP now with control are going to push this one forward as BBQ's members have to go back.
They're just going to make a big exit because a lot of chip damage, and especially to Ghost, who doesn't have any lifesteal in the build. He has to get the heck out of dodge, and MVP continue to push with Baron. So it doesn't delay the MVP Baron, this initiation or fight by BBQ, and they're just going to turn on another turret.
Yep, Bless is actually going to push up the mid lane there. Trying to do what he can. Beyond is going to answer. Not too much joy. In fact, no auto attacks thrown out onto that turret. Maybe one casual one by a caster creep, but other than that, not a lot of sieging being done as MVP have taken an outer turret on the top lane and the bottom lane so far with this Baron. 2 turrets isn't necessarily the best, but it's not too bad.
BBQ really need to up their vision game, and that's not just because they lost to Baron, but if you think about the comp and how it works, They have a lot of burst, and then Tristana, who has a reset on first kill. So getting down a control ward, hitting a cocoon, Renekton, Karma can do a lot of burst, and then Tristana profits so much from that the first kill for BBQ is often going to be the difference between a teamfight win and a teamfight loss. Because the moment you get a kill, it's 5v4. Tristana can choose her positioning better than almost any AD carry in the game, and things can only get better from there. But as it stands, they're kind of being run around by MVP. They haven't been able to set up that vision, and the end result is that Tristana's getting chipped down by Chaos Storms and Equalizers and not being able to put paid to what is a free farm Tristana.
Yeah, should be theoretically easier and easier as he moves closer to level 18, but I understand what you mean because that Chaos Storm did a hell of a lot of damage to the Tristana. Hexdrinker will help.
There's the Burst Victor build, Ludens and Lichbane for dying in one rotation.
Yeah, killing in one rotation and dying in one rotation as well. The all or nothing, I like it, Ian. MVP showing us that they really want this win. They'll take the risks in order to get it. And they do now have close to a 3,000 gold lead against BBQ, who have looked like they're comfortable to scale throughout this game. I think that's the nicest way of putting their inaction between this mid-game.
Not only that Victor does scale, maybe not as much Tristana, but he certainly does insane late game team fighting damage, so you don't have a carte blanche to just scale into the late game. There is still going to be specific timings, and kind of scattered, like a crazy going for the more tanky builds. Just they wanted to team fight earlier with their Tristana lead, and Karma being very powerful early game. That wasn't true. And then kind of, if you evaluate everything together, it's a bit muddied from BBQ. Their game plan, their warding, their scaling, everything is kind of up and down. And at least MVP, the one thing you can say about them is that the moment they got an invitation back into the game, they smiled, they said thank you very much, and from there they've made a lot of good decisions.
Yeah, they have. And that vision continues to be good as well. See the bottom side vision that they have control of, a minute left on that dragon. Those wards should still be there, and they at least have a ward in the Baron Pit. It's going to be up in 45 odd seconds. Now MVP looking to go over, get that vision around that area, and set up once again, see whether they can take this down.
ADD's teleport is going to be pretty much on board the same moment as the Baron comes live, so it's free to go bot lane and get the minions pushing as well. Side wave control not been great for MVP, even in spring season, but been even worse in summer. MVP really do look like they are in a great spot to end that loss streak, but we've seen that a couple of times against even better opposition than BBQ, and they've managed to really let themselves down. Baron was the big thing, but then taking a Baron this game has been big, but around these neutrals, they have misfired in fights and initiation pretty frequently. So for MVP fans, you really only start believing when that Nexus is in the midst of exploding.
Yeah, it feels like MVP need team fights that are on their terms and certainly not their opponents. As soon as things feel even, it becomes problematic as, oh, that's a lot of damage onto ADD, and now BBQ want to try and start this fight off. Cancelled is the teleport, so a long walk from the Renekton. Exactly, Arrow's going to fly forward, and Totoro just barely dodges to the left of it.
That buys them a reprieve, though, that now they can back away and wait for Renekton to run up. ADD will probably do some musical chairs with him and head down bot lane because he's now the one with a teleport advantage.
Well, Ian creating some pressure on the top side of the map as well. Minion Wave is going to push forward to that inner turret. BBQ 5 members strong now in the mid lane, pushing that one up. We do have backs being considered, but MVP probably don't want to do that because this Baron dance is most certainly on.
Ian's just all alone.
Yeah, he's going to take so much damage. Good knock up. There's the flash forward, but Bless, no, he can't get on top. Really good repel, saves his life for the moment, but once again the Chaos Storm is enough to get rid of the Elise. And MVP get one pick, and they didn't trade this time.
And BBQ just didn't all have the same mindset. Multiple people flashed after the 500 HP Victor. Maybe they could have taken him down. It's so much of the damage from MVP. But two other people thought better. They didn't commit. Flashes up on everyone other than Bless. And the end result is it's a 5v4, and the jungler is dead. Recalls come through from MVP. That's a bit questionable. They could have tried to turn on to Baron. They may still do so, though.
Well, they're at least going to clear out any potential vision. Ian finds that ward. Going to be able to take that one out, and no vision at all.
They haven't started it yet, waiting for a face check. They don't want to start the Baron. Feels like they should have. They finally do, but they will get the face check this time.
Yeah, teleport going to come in from ADD, who's on the bottom side clearing things out. Bless nowhere to be seen is now Maha taking some damage. Ghost trying to get into position. He's playing frontline, and the arrow isn't going to be able to find him. Now moving over for Maha, looking for this damage. Beyond locks down the Baron, so already the objective going to MVP. Now Beyond looking for more. The exhaust going to be thrown down, maybe overextended is the Rek'Sai, and he's just going to sacrifice himself. Tempt grabs that kill. Max looking for the way in. That's the quickness. Can MVP turn around this fight? It is going to be Totoro falling down first, but the damage is still there. Double kill for ADD with that extra damage on the Rumble. And MVP grab a Baron and win a team fight.
Yeah, they choose to use the turn. It wasn't the ideal grand entrance quickness, but enough to get multiple ticks of the Chaos Storm and the Equalizer. The big objective was the biggest story here. Maha could have been safer with his positioning, was a bit optimistic, trying to walk in and out, and the Ash Arrows have been failing him this game. The crucial takeaways, they do claim the Baron. They end up giving up the life of Beyond after he goes in far too far away. No one else going to be able to profit off that, but the ults are still up. Atlas didn't need to be greed from BBQ. They could have kind of stopped from here, but Max in a control ward knew that the initiation would be true. From there, ultimate's up. The turn is good, and MVP, second Baron of the game.
Those harpoons from the Rumble just do so much damage now. We saw Bless with about a fifth of his health bar just evaporate. That one headed down. Ardent Sensor completed for Tempt, which is good news. Bless looking like he wants to build a dash cannon. Try and avoid himself dying from so many Chaos Storms by the sounds.
Sitting on the revolver since very early in the game, but pivoted when they lost the first Baron and felt like he couldn't actually go for the pick build. Pick build would have really helped the Tristana, who Ghost is probably just going to farm himself into 4 or 5 items, but not a victory, Atlas, with how the game is going so far.
They do have a lot of ranged wave clear if Ghost is going to be able to, like we can see there, kill these minions very, very quickly. Static Shift done as well as the Rapid Fire Cannon, and extra range plus AoE on these creeps is important. Karma as well offers a lot of extra damage. Luden's Echo as well going to help with wave clear. So they know what they can do as far as a stall on the side of BBQ, and maybe they'll just settle in. It's like, yeah, well, we'll face you at 60 minutes, guys.
That's why I kind of query what you're saying, because it doesn't really feel like they've known their limits. Their mismanagement in the early game seemed to really kind of cause them to fall down. So knowing their strength at 60 minutes, knowing where to ward, knowing how to play around, I still have queries about those things, and I never thought I'd be saying this, but MVP have looked a lot more robust in a macro sense than a team for the first time in summer. You know, that's been the biggest query from MVP, has been a complete lack of smart macro, and in this game, after being gifted a way back in, sure, it could have just been BBQ playing better in the early game, continuing to go better, and maybe MVP never would have got that invitation. But from the invitation onwards, MVP have played not a tight macro game, but a pretty good one.
Yeah, definitely better than what BBQ have thrown out. And I was more just talking about why BBQ could have been making these decisions to lapse in their vision. It's like, surely they knew that, yes, well, our map is very dark.
I think they're just scared. You look at the itemization, I think, going for
But they weren't scared before, they were ahead.
Sure, but then the itemization didn't really kind of cement that. Usually when you're feeling ahead, the Tiamat comes in, the Titanic Hydra comes in, and you're killing people. You're not worried about taking less damage from future ticks of the Equalizer because the Rumble is dead. And then the same thing you can be said about some of the other itemization here. After the Zeal item was complete from Ghost, he went into a Hex Drinker as an emergency purchase. Bless abandoned his Proto Belt, going towards tankiness. It doesn't feel like everyone was feeling like they were in a position to keep pushing advantages. They kind of looked at the enemy and said, okay, there's some good scaling there. Let's slow down. And it's slowing down that's actually gotten them into the problem than where they were. If they kept that foot on the accelerator, this was
always okay.
Max's build is actually the target nerf build, because in the end he's not really getting either the effectiveness. So now shields, the shield coming through on the Locket scales on health, like you were kind of alluding to, doesn't have much health in the build, and also Redemption scales on other shielding and healing items, which doesn't have either. So both of the effectiveness of Max's builds kind of on the down on 7-12.
Yeah.
Whereas Totoro is getting good value out of his Locket this time.
He is. Face of the mountain complete. actually going for the Ruby Sightstone there as well, so no Eye of the Equinox that we've been seeing so much of. Just wants to have that extra shield to keep Ghost alive. Inspire wasn't enough. Doesn't trust Tempt to keep him up.
They're on the Baron already. It's on 8,000 health.
Yeah, and Ian, decent position, still has that Banshee's Veil. Teleport coming in very, very late as Beyond should be able to get this smite. Bless is going to move over. Big shields come out as Max jumps his way in. That's the third Baron for MVP. BBQ not quite losing anyone just yet, but they're on the run from MVP. Double control wards and good vision from the Hawk shot from MVP. They just group themselves up and pressure BBQ away and just wander off with the objective in hand.
Yeah, the gravity field especially, but also the equalizer bought them a lot of time. BBQ still looking, and once again Ghost fishing around the front line.
Yeah, abusing that range. Close to level 18.
Pinging onto the Elder Dragon, but because of their lapses in vision, they actually have no buffs from this, and MVP is certainly going to contest.
Yep, they do have Smite back up as well. Ghost, lots of auto attack damage here, wanting that energized reset. Ian moves his way over. BBQ have to back away, and the Elder Drake stays leashed. Beyond, he may just be able to pick this one back up again. No, Prey Seeker going to grab his attention, but otherwise he's going to move back.
One person from
confused
MVP,
dragon ever.
One person from MVP should be rotating through the mid lane. They're trying to waste Baron buff duration here, BBQ.
Okay, Ghost goes up very, very far as now Bless needs to try and steal this, but he doesn't! A massive Elder Drake goes over to MVP, and if they can't win from here, honestly, feel like they'll never be able to win anything ever again because that is a massive amount of kills, a big dragon and a Baron all going to MVP.
They end up getting everything. Crazy left the fight as BBQ was trying to waste time, and MVP made the call just to go in, get the dragon, get everything, burn down the mid lane, and it finally will be a first game victory in 15 for MVP.
Yep, 42 minutes in, but MVP looked honestly good. I mean, they lost first blood, and you were thinking, oh, it's another MVP game. This could be a disaster, but everything after that, picking up these objectives that they had sole vision control over, controlling the map, moving their vision line forward. It's everything that we say about some of our best teams, and MVP actually executed on it, and towards the end as well. So, 14 loss streak is going to be it for MVP. Finally, it has been broken.
As some fans being really elated and see the MVP crowd finally 15 games in, breaking the duck they were sitting on, and some smiles in the booth. Still a job to be done, but it will not be a record loss streak. They will not emulate the 17-0 loss streak that CJ Entus went on in summer of last year, and they've finally got their first game victory. Maybe they're fancying a series victory too, because if BBQ kind of mismanage advantages and watch on as MVP take objectives they shouldn't have been in the driver's seat to claim, this could actually be a short Series 1 Atlas.
Yeah, certainly could. A 2-0 victory for MVP would be one hell of a momentum swing, and they looked honestly more like the spring MVP that we got used to towards the end of that season than we've seen thus far.
I'd love to see an interview with them. If they do win, it'd be fun to hear how they got to this spot. Because you're right, it did look better. It looked tighter. They made smart decisions. Weird one here, because I liked what BBQ was doing, because even though they had not as much of a priority on the dragon, it was more of a denial dragon, it was at the same time as they sent their Renekton back, and they never backed away enough from the dragon. They saw the health bar go down, they stood up, and no surprise that all the initiation from MVP came in, and they kind of lost everything because Renekton couldn't be there. So not a clear call from BBQ multiple times this game. After about 8 minutes, didn't feel like both sides were talking, and in the end, it was kind of a messy divorce of a game plan because nothing came together for BBQ.
Yeah, and BBQ sort of, you understood what they were trying to do with the Tristana, and it worked out early game. Bless showed a lot of attention. They managed to get a flash, then a pick. Like, that was good. The thinking was good, but after that, they neglected all vision outside of the in the river completely. They did the lane swap, which was fine, but it was answered incredibly easily. And then Rift Herald fell down, Dragon fell down, and the Tristana spent so much time top that they just lost control of the game as that Rift Herald just tore apart the middle of the